Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 2 Minutes to Review. I'm Matt.
And I'm Zach.
This time, you click the picture. It is one of the most anticipated albums of 2020. It is the brand new one from ACDC. I hope you powered up because we did.
Get it?
Yeah.
Hashtag powered up.
Let me tell you, they went all out with the marketing on this one, though.
Oh, yeah. And the cover looks really cool, too. Like, just really well done from a marketing standpoint.
And I know I really wanted it, but I wasn't going to pull the trigger on it. Was the special limited edition packaging with the light up lightning bolt on it?
Yeah, it looked really cool. I think it was important for the band to really make a statement leading up to this album, because if you think about everything that happened going into this record, it happened right around the time that Malcolm had passed away. If you think about it, we almost didn't get a new AC/DC album. With Brian Johnson pretty much on the sidelines, what looked like permanently because of hearing issues. Phil Rudd, the drummer, just like essentially forced to stay in Australia because of some legal issues. And then Cliff Williams retiring pretty much at the end of the last tour that they did of Axl Rose. It's kind of a miracle that they decided, you know what, let's at least do another album. It's important. This is an important record for AC/DC, all things considered, to the point that even though they can't really tour behind it, because who knows when they're going to be able to tour behind this album, they decided, you know what, screw it. It's important that we do this for Malcolm, that we get this album out. And alas, here we are. Power up. I think without further ado, let's get into it. Matt, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I got some things to say.
All right. You got some dirty deeds?
I'm going to do them dirt cheap.
Good.
I'm just that type of guy.
In this economy?
Hey, you do what you got to do to get by.
Listen, sometimes you just got to shoot the thrill and just hope, listen to, I had all these AC/DC puns planned in my mind. And
I'll throw you a bone.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't mean to break your balls, but I want to go ahead and do this review.
Someone's got some big balls. Boom. Let me know when you're ready first.
I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm ready to shake you all night long.
Ah, damn it. He came back in black. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So the story with this album is, how much do you like AC/DC? Because you're going to get exactly the AC/DC that you've come to know and love for all these years. You're going to get the grooves and everything slightly changed up. You can put your finger on it. Like, I've heard this before on certain songs. Like, I know what this is from. It sounds so familiar, but it's AC/DC taking their classic sound and kind of changing it up a little bit. And with Brian Johnson and all of that he went through with his hearing, it really sounds like there's no lingering effects. In recent interviews, he talked about how well technology and medicine has come along to help him with his hearing. And I'm glad to see that there's really no ill effects. He's really right on key and right in with the band. And the band sounds really tight on this album, which is good. I don't know if that's production or if that's just the band, but it sounds really good, sounds really tight. And I'm kind of glad that they dropped what they did when they did Rock or Bust with that extra reverb nonsense, because it really threw AC/DC's classic sound for a loop there. But it all sounds really good on the album. The problem is that they don't venture into really any new territory, and whether or not you want that from AC/DC remains to be seen. But I still enjoy this album from a fan perspective, loving AC/DC for all these years. Songs like Code Red, Realize, Witch's Spell, Rejection, they really help this album to stand out in the rest of their catalog.
All right, the Hell's Bells have rung. Time is locked in. What's your score?
3 stars. And
so not enough to thunderstruck you into giving a higher rating.
That was bad.
I'm making up. I really feel off on my game. I'm not going to lie. I felt thunderstruck by all the puns I was trying to come up with. But so 3 stars.
Yes, they got it up. They didn't get it up all the way. Mm-hmm. But one of my big things with AC/DC, and you can say this about a lot of bands, but I think AC/DC really is the classic catch-22 in rock and roll in the music world, because we want bands to evolve and change, but then we criticize them when they change too much and they kind of they kind of go down a different road and they sound like a different band, and we want them to go back to being old. But like I said in my review, I want AC/DC to go somewhere else and change a little bit. So I really feel like AC/DC is just that classic example of a catch-22 where you're damned if you evolve, but you're damned if you don't evolve, you know? So
no, absolutely.
And it's right down the middle. Is how much do you love AC/DC? Hands down, at least in my opinion. But it's right down the middle of the plate. If you're an AC/DC fan, you're gonna love it. Summer day, you're gonna put the windows down, turn the album up, and I don't think you're gonna have any problems with this one from that perspective.
Well, let's see if I agree then.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, let's rock.
All right, there's no arguing that Power Up is a fun album, and from a production standpoint, it does sound really, really, really good. But I have a hard time arguing that it finds the band firing on all cylinders. I just feel like the whole album lacks a sense of urgency or energy that some of the more classic material has. I mean, the only mildly fast-paced song comes, amongst mostly mid-tempo album anthems. It doesn't come in until halfway through the album, and that's the song Demon Fire. And ironically, I would even admit that, that's not even the best song on the album. Actually, maybe even the worst song on the album. But at the same time, I feel like a faster paced song, at least with track, if it came in at track number 2, would have given a little bit more of a jump that I needed from the album. With that said, I mean, the song Realize I Admit is actually a pretty good starter to the album. And the first single, Shot in the Dark, grew on me. Witch's Spell is definitely a highlight, but I actually think that the highlight of the album comes when the band sounds its most poppiest and maybe even sentimentalist, or most sentimental. And that's the song Through the Mist of Time. And it's actually kind of refreshing to hear the band take a break from their typical macho, tough as nails kind of lyrical themes to sing a song that kind of reminds, it sounds like they're reflecting on yesteryear. And maybe that's just a sign of the times of where AC/DC's at right now. I mean, let's be honest, they've been around for so long. Maybe it's just they're not, they don't need to be on all cylinders. Maybe it's just they don't need to be as full throttle as they are in the past. Maybe we don't need an album from AC/DC that makes you headbang, but instead, maybe you should just be happy to have an album that, all right, you just play it in the background, you have some friends over, you have some drinks, you reminisce, and it's just a nice soundtrack in the background. Maybe that's enough. Or do we really need more from AC/DC? Going to Matt's point, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't to expect a band like AC/DC to evolve. Should we expect AC/DC to keep pushing the envelope, or should we just be happy that AC/DC is still producing an album that not only is still fun to listen to, but you can actually tell that they are having fun with it as well?
All right, we have a time. And what star rating would you like to give this? I'm
going with 3 as well, because
okay.
Listen, it's, as I mentioned before, it's clear that they're having fun on this record, which is saying a lot given everything that this band has gone through in the last 5 years. I don't think, even in the interviews, as honest as Brian Johnson and Angus are, doesn't really touch on the fact that they kind of just kicked Brian Johnson to the curb very coldly. So it's kind of a miracle that he's back, let alone that they're even, willing to do new music. I mean, this is a band that also doesn't need to do a new album.
They don't. They don't.
This is but also... Go ahead, sorry.
The Brian Johnson thing, I think they handled it maybe within the band well, but not in the press well.
Oh, no, not in the press for sure.
No, because Brian Johnson, I remember very vividly in interviews saying that, he stepped aside because of his hearing loss and he wanted to, not hold the band back because they were on tour when that happened.
I feel like from what maybe now that's become more of the story, but I feel like at the time it just felt really cold and very much like Brian's just been filling in for a few years. Thank you for your service. Here's Axel. Another thing that you got to keep in mind is that AC/DC is the kind of band that really thrives on the road. At this point in their career, and maybe this is just from an outsider's perspective, they're really releasing new music just to kind of have some in the cell on tour. So they don't really need to even do that now, given that they're probably not going to be able to tour for a while, if we're lucky. So I think, maybe we should just be thankful that they even decided, let's screw it. Let's just release a new album. So I'm approaching it less critical in that regard. So it's like, what? It is what it is. It's not the most memorable AC/DC album. I have a hard time saying it's their best in decades. Best in years? Sure. But
it's definitely better than Rock or Bust.
Yes.
That album definitely was a bust for me, just from a pure perspective of it sounded a mess. Not like necessarily the songs, but the production was a mess on that album.
I think the problem with new AC/DC music over the past 2 decades is that there'll be 1 or 2 really good songs that you go, this could be part of the catalog. And then the rest is just like filler that you forget. This album, it doesn't have as many standout moments, but it's an enjoyable, I'll have it in the background as I'm just kind of decompressing, which on paper doesn't sound like a great AC/DC album. But as you get older, maybe that's just kind of more enjoyable. Maybe you don't, like going back to what I was saying, maybe you don't need a headbang every second of a song or of an album. Maybe it's just kind of nice. Like, I actually feel like this album, they're going to their Rolling Stone roots more so than they have in the past. And I say that more so of listen, we're just doing music that we like. Not necessarily like, we need to do it with this format. We need to say rock 5 times in a row. It definitely feels more like this is
they still do.
Oh, they still do. Because it's AC/DC, come on.
Yeah.
I will say it feels like a less forced AC/DC album. I just feel like it's lacking energy at the same time.
If you go back and you listen to like Ball Breaker, that album to me, that one sounds forced. This one sounds like, for a nice way to put it, it sounds like it's maybe a B-side to maybe Back in Black.
Yeah, it feels like a relaxed album, which is not terrible. It's not a criticism either. I go back to it. Sounds like it's 5 guys having fun while recording something, which maybe that's all we really need from a band like AC/DC, who've been around for so long. Maybe just the fact that you like each other's company. When you hear about so many huge bands of that same stature who can't even be in the same room for more than 50 minutes, maybe that's all we need, is just to know, all right, AC/DC are still a bunch of guys who like to hang out with each other.
Yeah, and you know what? it's really good that after everything that did happen, that they can get to that point. Exactly.
But, Matt, who gives a crap what we think?
Well, I hope somebody does.
No, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because what really matters are the times.
Yes, the times. Oh, the times.
They are changing. So,
do you want to know your time?
Well, hold on. I feel like you went first. You should find out your time first.
Okay.
All right. I feel like you're already alluding to the fact that I kicked your butt, but okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Matt, did you rock or did you bust on this review? Let's find out. I had to throw in one more pun. I needed to redeem myself. I stand by that one. Your time was 1 minute and 33 seconds.
Okay, that's respectable. I will take that.
Yes. What was my time?
Well, I'm going with your pun. You definitely busted.
What?
Because your time was 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, real bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
You're bad at this game.
I'm not bad at this game, but that was a bust. That was a bust. But let us know what you think. Do you agree with our thoughts on the new album?
Did we shake you all night long? Yeah, you.
Are we going to a highway for hell for that pun? At Epic Footnote on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And you know what? While you're at it, give a listen to a past episode of If You Have to Pick 3, where Matt and I actually named the best AC/DC songs not named Highway to Hell. In case, you're not really into the new music and you want to relive the past classics. Let us know what you think of that episode as well. And thanks so much for listening. And we hope you tune in again real soon.